And this is to Mr. Ofori Atta. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily or the OSP will enforce your return. Mr. Ofori Atta's lawyers prayed that the attendance in person of Mr. Ofori Atta at the OSP should be fixed, taking into account the medical report from his doctors. And at 4:16 p.m. the very next day, it is yesterday, Tuesday, 11 February 2025, before we could respond to the letter that came on Monday, the OSP received another letter from Mr. Ofori Atta's lawyers. This time, it was an inquiry. Mr. Ofori Atta's lawyers wanted to know, and they stated that they were informed by the household of Mr. Ofori Atta that in the morning of Tuesday, 11 February 2025, that is yesterday, 12 men, comprising 1 police officer, 4 military men, and 7 other men in plain clothing, visited Mr. Ofori Atta's house, and that by threat of force, they were able to enter Mr. Ofori Atta's house, and they undertook an exercise purporting to be a search of every room, office, gym, and other spaces in the house. Mr. Ofori Atta's lawyers then inquired if the OSP could confirm that the actions of the 12 men were the instance of the OSP, so as to enable them to decide if a complaint to the police would be unnecessary. Mr. Ofori Atta's lawyers then prayed for a prompt response from the OSP to prevent imposter action. We are now responding promptly, and we have chosen the course of answering Mr. Ofori Atta's inquiry publicly at this briefing, considering the circumstances surrounding the purported raid at Mr. Ofori Atta's house, media reportage of the purported raid, and in light of the reckoning that some media houses have stated emphatically that the OSP was behind the purported raid, and in light of the reckoning that the purported raid is being made to appear as if it was some untoward action by the OSP stemming from some contrived vendetta held by the OSP against Mr. Ofori Atta. So, here we go. And this is our response to Mr. Ofori Atta directly, but through you, the media. Mr. Ofori Atta, the OSP did not raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025, or on any other day. Mr. Ofori Atta, the OSP did not cause any persons, however uniformed or bedecked, to raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025, or on any other day. Mr. Ofori Atta, that could not have been the OSP, and that is not our style. If the OSP enters your premises, you will not be in doubt as to whether it was the OSP that had come there, and your lawyers will not have cause to do an inquiry ascertaining whether it was the OSP. We have our unique methods of conducting searches, and we have uniquely designed insignia identifying ourselves, and not just by a statement that we are from the OSP. This is one such main insignia. A person cannot just show up and say they are from the OSP. It's cheap, anyone can say that. But when the OSP enters your premises, you will definitely know by our insignia, our methods, and the way we identify ourselves that this is the OSP. Our intelligence points us to state that the purported raid on Mr. Ofori Atta's residence was staged, or at best, an imposter action in an attempt to court disfavor for the OSP and to derail the investigation. You know us very well. The OSP is never deterred by such occurrences, and the investigations will continue as by law prescribed. These occurrences and the OSP's intelligence, which will not be revealed at this time for fear of compromising the investigation, are very instructive as not to put premium on Mr. Ofori Atta's alleged imminent peril should he travel back to the jurisdiction. In any case, the purported medical letter transmitted through his lawyers to the OSP did not state so or demonstrate so. The OSP is unconvinced that the purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. no serious law enforcement agency, and certainly not the OSP, will be convinced that the purported medical letter stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Mr. Ofori Atta before it in the described circumstances. We are of the firm conviction here that this is only a ruse employed by Mr. Ofori Atta in aid of his intention to avoid returning to the jurisdiction and to personally answer questions in respect of the investigations. We are convinced that the real intention of Mr. Ofori Atta is what was communicated to the OSP in the very first letter transmitted by his lawyers on 31 January 2025. That is, he has left the jurisdiction indefinitely. That was what was communicated to us at the first instance, and that is his intention. He has no intention of willingly returning to the jurisdiction. That much is clear to us. Consequently, ladies and gentlemen of the media, the OSP declares Kenneth Nacee Ofori Atta a wanted person. He is a fugitive from justice. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. And this is to Mr. Ofori Atta. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily, or the OSP will enforce your return.
But OSP, say mra no dey adwuma. Ne mra na wabu bi so ana.
Up until now, no.
So Asem bi ni ho. Crow ya hu. Etwa yonko ampani for say etwa duam. Abodade mu. Ti say 140 yaw. If OSP under the law etimi hwehwe de wawu. Charge de wawu, prosecute de wawu a. How much more they living?
Or charge you be a woo. Prosecute you be a
woo. We went to court.
Okay, they say John.
Yes, we went to court under the MPP government. Yango court. Executor. So I was in court. And a judgment was delivered. Even though we know dead men don't talk. Man, who press conference? No, we didn't see. I'm saying that dead man who cannot even defend himself was prosecuted in this country.
No, but parties to start suit, no. Now, OSP versus one versus
versus me
versus who?
Yes.
No,
I'm coming. Why na I didn't ask Moko? I'm kujinem.
No, so because we are executor.
Oh, will be
in the US.
Sana Bekano.
Yeah, but of course I get the point. The real issues no never will be only home.
And me Asem na wo.
So no executor.
I'm just said na Asem me Asem ko be di na ko boy. Ya mo me di ho. My name was not mentioned in that case. Because when he said me executor, I didn't see Kruma. Now you're part of the MPP.
He was.
And so
former general secretary.
Former general secretary. And there will be Otiase. Yes, so me yin ho ano. I will Ajuma bi a waye. I will be say.
And say
twa ye kura na anu ye wo ho brabe yi wa ho ano. Crime na wa commit crime. Has he committed any crime?
No.
Eti me who press conference dey there ho. Ampanifo se woni mutrima me kuro ampoma jambi onkun. Woni mutrimu ne ye kan asema ampoma jambi onkun. Eti se onye bone. Na se woye na djuma. Ye frɛ na we police case be na wom we dede bi anim omra. So oyare na wontimi mma enene ochena. I saw kase bi ene de mintimi mma. But that's the meeting then. Abba, no me ho ano.
O say omo na match na sa na wallet ni.
Oh, so omo na match, I mesre OSP say omo na match.
Abi OSP say wo.
Afi correct me ba.
Me dey me unu imagine.
Yeah.
Me fu say OSP no. Wanya adwempo bi say
frakadam.
Aha. Inti no. So say match me mati na mo me di bibi to so a
the pressure
battle was a match, and won't to me and some for another story. And Famba. Me the son of
Obi. Okay. Maybe or see match no baba. Na say OSP ni hwe na be ya. Match no and what's that? Say I mean and 12 me wa. Next month ya. February. On chairman mbra no me ni ho ano. Enti mi hu I see Ghana ha. Any yamshishie bi Ghana ha and say ye dey tat or mutata OSP tata will be. Minim say up until now, na minim say OSP team tata nkofo krem minim da. Minim da say OSP team tata nkofo e okrem da minim da. Enya net press conference o ye ya. Ka minim say OSP team tata nkofo. Me dey minim da nyina minim say OSP o ye na djuma. Mraman ho kwan so ye na djuma. And he was starting so investigating Kofo Kremo. Ache.
Koto de ne boy.
Obradi Nyankopon yakoto kra. Adwenpo. O started so investigating Kofo Kremo. Ache obi anamebo. O started so to the suffering Kofo. Charles Bisease. Any
Charles Bisease. Go declare the wanted.
Yes. There be no say Baba Charles Bisease the other Central Region Secretary in France. You know, Oko standing for MP, no, everything. Equawusi. O declare me now.
Yeah.
Lawyers come and there and call your base, do baby, no. Emra ye juma. Enti emra na bo OSP ho ban. Emra na bi bo yewura Ken Ofori Atta ho ban. Enti mi hu de enti ase e hold press conference. Say you see obi na be ni ho ano. Why? And only 2 minutes of flow is only one okre. Is that what Yatiana? Say, and then the always been to be flow be so one. Me SML issue. Me ma kan wasam wa. Ye nyina enim say, ye wura ya fa no say GR boss. Sapon. Omne ye auditing no.
Yeah, KPMG.
KPMG.
Sure.
At that time, no, or your partner. Omne auditing
senior partner.
Senior partner, auditing a SML contract. And no more findings never trouble. And would be a criminalize a SML or a should be me a musu. Meaning crime be a name will my committee. Did they say SML has committed any crime?
Not that I know.
Did they say government that treats Kabia Moma and any council or this kind of Moma? We offer any babies at home. And to be with regards to that one, me apart from the other ones are any public my and can was them and can you public and Quebec was them. But what the meaning said against a private audit firm was engaged by government. Say unconscious Asem or Asem the woman who you know or the better bontena public can say there be as are buying a sugar and maybe and 1% a full report no or declare a full report no. Adamewa never to mountains we na ehwem at all mountains we but what you the woman a crime no you bet man discuss it and so I don't know why say no cry your friends omra ma cheche ne hu nsem wo mu a en kan e boni bia wo.
I'm extremely disappointed that the OSP allowed Ken to go, and then now they are crying all over that Ken is a wanted man, he's a fugitive. I don't get it. My thesis is that, look, they have so many men from September 2023 where they were given clearance over about 230 minimum, there about 230. So my quick synopsis is that even assuming 50 declined, minimum about about 180 persons came in. These are supposed to be professionals, etc. So when you have so many professionals to help you do investigations, why do you take the job away from them and then you do go slow investigations? Because look, Ben, I'm telling you that I can't believe that they have been started work on this reef right from December 2023 when this SML matter broke, with diligent prosecutors and other investigators. I don't believe it. I will never believe it that he started in good time. No, because one would have expected that he would have reached this level a long time ago. Because he said it's now that he's notifying Ken that he's a suspect. From the interview, he's now notifying Ken more than a year on. Why? What were they doing? Is it rocket science? This is not a brief that looks overly complex. No. These ones, they are mostly procurement breaches. That's what they are. Mostly procurement breaches and lack of value for money. So I don't understand how this could have taken so long.
We cannot tell whether whatever they did. So if our intelligence tells us that we have not done that, and that it could have been an imposter action. That is what it is. But what is important is the fact that it is now obvious that that propaganda falls flat, that the OSP had nothing to do with it. And that feeds it into the propaganda that I wanted to dispel, that the OSP appears to do things to court public attention and all that. That is not true. They keep on citing the issue of Madame Cecilia Dapaah. And Madame Cecilia Dapaah's case was a very simple case where the OSP had to conduct what we call emergency search. And a lot of people have not familiarized themselves with the OSP Act. So if you go into Act 959, Section 34 gives the OSP power to do emergency searches. It says where an authorized officer suspects on reasonable grounds that a particular property is tainted, will provide evidence as to the commission of an offense. It's necessary to exercise the power of search. It gives all the indices and the indications under which the OSP can conduct an emergency search. And at the time Ms. Dapaah was being investigated, the intelligence that came was that there was money in her house and we had to conduct an emergency search. Now, when you do an emergency search, you are just applying due process. That doesn't mean that you are courting any public.
Fair enough. But his reference was to Mr. Bisease and the way you went about.
Mr. Bisease, that is even a very simple matter than even. Mr. Bisease took us to court, and his lawyer had even deposed to an affidavit that the OSP had procured an arrest warrant. And the OSP had made this argument over and over that the OSP exercises full police powers under Section 28 of the OSP Act. And when you exercise full police powers, you realize that if you go to the Criminal Procedure Code or Act, Section 10 allows police officers, OSP, to arrest without a warrant. It's law 101. Anybody in the law school should understand that the OSP has the power to arrest without a warrant.